Joining me now is my good friend, but also good friend of taxpayers everywhere, Kris Sims. She's the Alberta director of the Canadian Taxpayers Federation. And boy, oh boy, I should tell everybody, Kris is also a former journalist. So she has a very unique perspective on journalists being paid by the taxpayer, as in she agrees with me, they should never be paid by the taxpayer. But CBC is, I think, the very worst offender because not only do they get 1.5-ish billion dollars a year from the taxpayer to subsidize their operations, nobody watches, and their salaries are completely out of whack with the rest of the industry. Tell us about this latest Canadian Taxpayers Federation investigation into the salary. I would call it a problem down at the CBC.
Yeah, it's a huge problem. And this actually gets me pretty mad because like you just said, I worked in the industry, including like in the parliamentary press gallery in like mainstream media outlets for years and years, like 15, 20 years in and out. And what gets me is that it was always kind of this understood thing that for every one journalist working in like even, CTV, Global, CFRA Radio, something like that, back then a really truly private company, for every one of you, there were like 4 CBC reporters there. And those 4 CBC reporters had like, 20 managers among them.
Yeah.
That was always the kind of understanding. Now it's true. We have the documents to show it. And credit where it's due. This is my good friend and colleague, Franco Terrazzano, that was working on this out of our Ottawa office, along with Jake, our research director. So I'm just the hair and teeth on this one. Boy, oh boy, Sheila, did they ever find something? So they put in freedom of information requests to find out how many human beings working at the CBC were making over $100,000. People usually call that a sunshine list. We also asked for the roles, okay? So like, director, producer, journalist, manager, etc. The amount of managers, Sheila, just enough to choke a horse, okay? And I was a producer for most of my journalistic life, so no knock on producers, but do you need more than 700 of them?
Right.
Like astonishing, truly astonishing, Sheila. And if I may, I would just offer this as a longtime reporter who truly wants to find at the W5 level journalism.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the reasons, folks, that they're not journalisming, okay? If you have 12 managers for every one reporter over at the CBC, it's no wonder they're suffocating and tripping over their own feet. This is a major problem, and it's a huge waste of taxpayers' money. I think it's around 500 managers, like 700 producers. There's things, Sheila, what is a lead architect?
Like, I work in the industry. I have no idea.
Straight up, I don't know. And I used to help CTV National go to air sometimes. So I get it, okay? I've been around the big lights and big cameras. Never heard of an architect in media, let alone a lead architect. And they've got, I think, 24 of them or more. Like, this is where we're pointing out this CBC is enormously bloated in its middle management section and a huge waste of money.
Yeah, we see all the time journalists being laid off, and you see like your frontline journalists being laid off, but I think they're being sacrificed in favor of middle manager salaries. I've got the list in front of me from Franco. He says CBC records show that it employs more than 250 directors, 450 managers, 780 producers, all of them paid more than $100,000. And he breaks it down further. 180 managers, 277 senior managers, 124 directors, 106 senior directors, 28 executive directors. I don't know the difference between those other two. But 493 producers, 36 technical producers, 168 senior producers. Again, I don't know the distinction between them and the 86 executive producers, 130 advisors, 81 analysts, 120 hosts, 80 project leads, 30 lead architects, whatever that is, and then 25 supervisors who apparently do a different role than all the managers.
So I looked up because, again, I had no idea what an advisor would be in that situation. So they've got 130 of them being paid more than $100,000 a year. And so I looked it up, and I was in a big rush. So I just took whatever the, evil Skynet, summation is of an
Yeah,
advisor. I don't know what that is on the interwebs because I'm too old. But apparently an advisor at the CBC could do anything from truly advising on, like, the origins of Remembrance Day or something like that,
sure.
like a legit thing. Everything from that, Sheila, to proper DEI
Ugh,
implementation. Like,
I knew it.
imagine,
I
imagine
knew it.
having, right? And you knew it was waiting for it, right? So imagine not only having all of the being lousy with managers trying to do your job and all these executive people on top of you, you'd also have advisors and analysts
Ugh.
running around. And like, I can just say from personal experience, because I actually worked, full disclosure, I worked at CBC for about 6 weeks. It was in between other jobs. They were fine to me. I just observed things that were pretty out of whack when it was compared to other private companies. Like, they would send podcasts of videotaped yoga sessions to your desk. Like, it would be in your inbox. You could log in and watch it. I'm not kidding. Like, the person,
At
I never
work?
watched it. Yeah. No, I'm not joking. So I never watched it because, I was actually really loved their archives. So I was nerding out and
Right.
making obituary tapes, for future things to happen. Right. So I actually helped put together the Nelson Mandela one.
Oh,
And
wow.
so, yeah. And so I'm minding my own business and sticking to my knitting because I wasn't exactly a fit, even though, again, they were fine to me. It was for 6 weeks. But yeah, there was a thing where you could, like, click on it, and each day they would have a new video cast of your yoga session at your desk. So this is the problem. When people are wondering why the CBC has a 1.8 audience share in prime time, when so many people are saying that they're losing trust in, in all mainstream journalism, to be fair, more than 60% of Canadians think that mainstream journalists are deliberately misleading them with things they know to be untrue. Like, this is why you're starting to have people tune out and not trust. It's when you have one reporter for like 24 middle managers. And this is the issue here, is we're all paying for it.
Yeah,
We're all paying for it. Sheila, if
ugh,
this were a private company, who cares? We don't care.
right.
Pay them
Yeah,
in
sink
gummy
or swim.
bears.
Right.
Who cares? But this is taxpayers' money. We're all being forced to pay for this. And it's $1.4 billion this year, which is the equivalent of the salaries of 7,000 cops plus 7,000 paramedics.
We say 1.4 billion, but that doesn't even factor in all the exclusive ad deals they get with the federal government. Yeah.
Yes. And funny you should mention that. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation, we asked just the full amount. We
Mhm.
don't need granular, gory detail. We don't need to know, how much fun you had getting your CBC Gem ad on my hockey game for the 80th time. That's fine. Give us the exact amount, the full amount that you spend on advertising, CBC. No.
What do you mean,
So
no?
they told us no, that they're not going to tell us.
Trade secrets?
Yeah, but this is, again, if it were a trade secret, it would be like, oh, you can't be in on our negotiations with Sportsnet or whatever. Okay, we get that. And frankly, we don't care. We're the Taxpayers Federation. Give us the
Right.
lump sum. They won't even give us a lump sum. So we're actually taking them to court.
I
Like,
hope.
we're having to fight the state broadcaster, which is taxpayer funded, in order to find out what our tax dollars are being spent on, even in like anonymous blob amounts. Oh, quickly, sorry.
Yes.
Speaking of anonymous, there's like 200 people on this list that we have on our website who are making more than $100,000 per year. No names and no roles. They're just these like phantom people. So we know they exist. We just don't know who they are, what their role is, but we know they're making more than 100 grand. 200 of them.
Imagine like zero accountability.
This is
Zero.
it. And they could say, oh, they don't want to embarrass their hosts. No, their hosts' names, tons of them are on there.
Mhm.
Like, we didn't even put that in the news release, but a lot of the host names are on there.
Sure.
Not the exact amount that they make, but over
The
100
range. Yeah.
grand. Yeah. But yet I'm so curious to know what those 200 mystery roles are. Like, are they double agents? I don't know. Are they Janet? I don't know.
Are they people whose job it is to spy on the independent media and then steal their stories? As so often happens. I
I
just
don't know
can't
what you're
even.
talking about.
Yeah, well, I never. It's I can't even believe that they encouraged you even back then to just watch yoga at your desk. I know, like even Ezra, he'll complain like, "Oh my God, I was on Twitter too much today or on X too much today." Like he's concerned that he's wasting his own time on the internet. And then CBC is actively encouraging their employees to waste time on the internet.
And
It's
this was, for the record, this was back around 2011, 2012. And again, they
I'm
were
sure it's
super nice
worse.
about it. And they weren't
Sure.
forcing anybody to watch it. I'm just remarking that
Mhm.
they had that amount of time, those numbers of people, and because they're getting taxpayers' money. And if that's something they want to spend their own shareholders' money on, who are willingly giving them money, like fill your boots. I don't care. Do all the yoga all day that you want. But this is taxpayers' money and they're not being accountable, which is why we're trying to hold them to account.
God, I would just love to see a real forensic analysis of just the time thievery happening down at the CBC. It's just atrocious.
Right here on the page, go to rebelnewsplus.com. Members get instant access to all of our shows, invitations to exclusive events, and access to our premium content like live event footage and documentaries you won't see anywhere else. Only Rebel News Plus members can join the conversation by participating in the comments section of our new website. That way you can have your say too. More than anything, though, you'll be able to take pride in supporting real, honest journalism, and you'll help our talented team continue to do the work to push back on the establishment. We really can use your help. We need it, in fact. So thank you, and enjoy Rebel News Plus.